Hey there and welcome back. My name is Ms. Danielson and today we're looking at pie charts. I love pie charts because they're always so clear and easy to follow. You know exactly what they're about. Like this one, for example. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot my key. There you go. Now it's obvious what this is about. It's a pyramid in the sunshine, of course. Just kidding. Let's get started and we'll figure out what this is really about. While pie charts are just another type of graph used to display your data, they are very different from frequency diagrams like bar graphs or histograms. Pie charts are generally only used for discrete data, and it's often a good option for qualitative data rather than quantitative data. You can graph both types of data on a pie chart, but they're particularly useful for qualitative data, which is non-numerical data. For example, hair color, eye color, favorite type of music. Numerical data or quantitative data could also be graphed on pie charts, but we generally don't like to do this because of the loss of information when forming a pie chart. While in frequency diagrams, the number of people who responded to a question in a certain way is very clear because it's plotted up the frequency axis. In pie charts, we can only see what proportion of people answered the question in a certain way. That is, we can see what fraction or what percentage of people answered in which way. A lot more work goes into drawing a pie chart, a lot more calculation, and a lot more care in drawing it. Plus, you need that key to make sure that it's clear. But when it's done and it's done correctly, it just looks amazing and it feels so gratifying, the fact that you've done that correctly. Before we even start drawing the pie chart, we need to do our calculation. And to do that, you may want to extend your frequency table like I've done here. My question is how many people have black hair, brown hair, red hair, or blonde hair? And these are the number of frequencies for my results. From there, I can work out the total frequency, the total number of responses, or the sample size. This all adds up to 36, so there must have been 36 people, assuming nobody was bald. Once you've got the total frequency, we need to work out the fraction or percent that each of these categories will occupy of the full pie chart. To work at the fraction, it should be really simple because we're not going to simplify these fractions. We know that the total frequency was 36, and there are 6 people with black hair. We'll simply write that as 6 over 36. For 23 people with brown hair, again, we'll just write that as 23 over 36. And for the one person with red hair, 1 over 36. The 6 blondes, 6 over 36. To work out the percentage, however, we do need to do a little bit more calculation, but it should be just as simple as converting these fractions into percentages. Or you could also consider this as finding some fraction of 100. To work out a fraction of an amount, you simply need to multiply that fraction by that amount. So either we can do the top of the fraction divided by the bottom of the fraction to turn that into a decimal and multiply that by 100 to make it a percentage. Or if your calculator allows you to enter a fraction into your calculator, simply write that fraction multiply by 100. So for this first fraction, I'm going to do the numerator, the 6, divided by the denominator, the 36, and I'll multiply that by 100. Notice my answer is this long recurring decimal. I'm going to just round that to the nearest whole number, so that's going to be 17%. For the next fraction, I'll do the same thing. I'll do the numerator, that's the 23, divided by the denominator, again 36, and multiply that answer by 100. Once again, I've got a recurring decimal, so I'll round it to the nearest whole number. That's going to be 64%. The following, 1 over 36, again, top divided by bottom, multiplied by 100. And again, it's a long decimal answer, so I'll round it to a nearest whole number. 2 with a 7 next to it, that's going to round up to 3. And finally, our last one, the 6 over 36. I've already worked that out. That was 17%. Now that we've worked out all of our fractions and all of our percentages, we should have one whole. That is to say, these fractions, which all have a common denominator of 36, we can add nicely to get 36 over 36, which is one whole. However, When I try to do that with my percentages, I expected to get a total of 100%. So why do I have 101% here? Did I make a mistake? No, remember we rounded all of our percentages, so this answer is not exact. So keep that in mind as we move forward. If I want to work out the angles, I should work with the fractions, not with the percentages, because the percentages aren't entirely accurate. So let's work out those angles then. To work out the angles, keep in mind that a full turn, so the whole pi, makes 360 degrees altogether. And I've got these 4 sections that I need to split the pi into. But I'm not going to simply divide 360 degrees into 4, because obviously the people with brown hair, which was 23, would require a bigger section of the pie than the people with red hair, which was only 1 person. So I'm going to work out these fractions of the 360-degree angle. To do this, I can do like I did with the percentages and find a fraction of 360. Remember, to find a fraction of an amount, I simply multiply the fraction by that amount. Or in the case where your calculator doesn't allow you to put a fraction into the calculator, remember that a fraction is simply a division, where the top number is being divided by the bottom number. So for this first fraction, I would work out 6 over 36 of 360. 6 divided by 36 multiplied by 360, which gives me 60. So long as you have a calculator and you understand these steps, that should be fairly simple. However, I can make it even simpler for you. Sometimes you might prefer to simply work out how many degrees each person would represent. In this example here, there are 36 people altogether. And if a full circle is 360 degrees, that would mean that each person would be represented by 360 divided by 36. 360 divided by 36, that's 10 degrees per person. Now look at the answer we just worked out. We saw that 6 people would make an angle of 60 degrees. 6 divided by 36 multiplied by 360 gave me 60 degrees. But I could also go the other way. So long as we're dividing by the denominator of the fraction, it doesn't matter how we start. So I'll start by doing 360 divided by 36. That's saying the full 360-degree turn is being divided into 36 parts. Each of those parts represents one of these people. That means that each of these people is represented by 10 degrees on the pie chart. And knowing that, I can easily calculate how many degrees I need to represent 23 people. 23 times 10, right? How many degrees for 1 person? Well, we just worked that out. That's 10 degrees. And for 6 people, we have it at the top here, 60 degrees. Feel free to hit pause now if you want to try that for yourself. And you should notice that we work out the same angle regardless of which method we use. We can do the numerator, which is the frequency for each category, divided by the denominator, which is the total frequency for the question, multiplied by 360 degrees, that's the total number of degrees, or working in a different order, we're doing the 360 degrees, the total number of degrees, divided by the number of people, which is the total frequency, or the denominator of all of our fractions, and then we multiply that answer by the frequency for the category we're working out. Once you've worked out your angles, just double check that you've done that correctly. What should they add up to? Surely they'll add up to 1 whole. In this case, 1 whole full turn, that's 360 degrees. Now that we've got all our calculations out of the way, let's start setting up our pie chart. We're not going to draw a pie chart just yet. First, we need to draw our circle. So first, mark the point that will be at the center of your circle. Use squared paper for this and make sure that you put the point in a sensible place. Notice how I didn't just put this point wherever on the page. I didn't put it in the middle of a square. I put it perfectly where 2 lines will cross. That's where they intersect. I'll put the pin of my compass here and I'll draw my circle around that point. Next, I'm going to draw one radius that is 1 line from the center point straight up. And that's going to be my start line. From there, I'm going to start drawing my angles. So let's get ready to do that. First, I'm going to measure and mark the first angle about the center from the start line. So if this is my start line and my first angle is the 60-degree angle, I'll place my protractor on this line and I'll measure 60 degrees out. This new line that I've just drawn here in pink is now my new start line. So when I draw my next angle, which is the 230-degree angle, I'm going to start with my protractor lined up on this pink line, and I'm going to draw 230 degrees around. Now be careful, 230 degrees is more than 180, so you might actually want to do 180 degrees, and then turn your protractor around and do another 50 degrees. That's 50 degrees more than 180. That's 230 degrees altogether. And now this blue line is my new start line. So I'll line up my protractor on this blue line and I'll draw my next angle, which is my 10-degree angle. So from here, I've got a small little 10-degree angle. And now this green line is my new start line. I've only got one angle left to do, and I hope it's going to fit. It's my 60-degree angle, and it should fit perfectly just in here. And it does. Now that you've done that, you may think that you're done, but you're not. What have we forgotten? Don't forget to color in your pie chart and include a title and a key. So let's color that in. I've still labeled my angles here, and you may also want to label your percentages on here if you can fit it. But more importantly, you need a title to explain what this is about. It's definitely a pie chart, and I like to include the type of graph it is, along with what that pie chart's about. It's a pie chart of hair color. And now, I'm sure the hair colors weren't purple, pink, green, and blue, so I'd better include a key. That's for black, brown, red, and blonde hair. And there you have it. Now, doesn't that just look amazing? It's so clear and beautiful. But how many people had brown hair again? I can't remember. And my graph doesn't say. All I know is that it's now the majority. This sounds like a lesson for another day. So keep an eye out for that one. In the meantime, I hope you now feel ready to draw your own pie charts. Here's a template I like to give my students to remind them that before you can draw your pie charts, you first need to perform all of your calculations. And that requires a frequency table. Make sure you extend your frequency table to work out the total frequency and use that total frequency to work out the fractions for each category, the angles, and the percentages. To do these calculations, remember that the percentage is worked out as a fraction of 100. The angle is worked out as a fraction of 360 degrees. But you might also like to use the trick of finding the number of degrees per response. That is 360 degrees in total divided by the total frequency that we have here. Always check to make sure that your fraction adds up to one whole. Your percentages should add up to 100%, but very important, before you draw your pie chart, your angles should add up to 360. Otherwise, it's not going to fit. Also, don't forget your title and don't forget your key to make sure it's clear what colors you've used and what they represent. I hope you found this lesson helpful. Please leave me a comment down in the comment section if anything's still a little bit unclear. Otherwise, till next time, keep practicing. There's a lot of work that goes into these pie charts, but isn't it gratifying when it all works out and just looks so beautiful and clear in the end? I'm sure you feel the same way. Take care, guys.